involved in everything trying to help housing. Thank you all for being here. We're obviously going to hear from some of our speakers here in just a minute. But here's kind of the format. We wanted just to have a conversation about housing and especially about rehabbing our traditional housing. And I'm just going to intro things by putting this in context of sort of what the city in general, both council and our team, but the city in general and a lot of partners are trying to do to increase our housing stock. And so, as a reminder, we're about 20,000 units short, maybe only 15,000 by now. But we're trying to do everything we can to make sure that we facilitate more housing, which is fundamentally the answer to a lot of our issues in the long term. Whether it's poverty, whether it's homelessness, housing is the root cause of a whole lot of challenges. But it also takes time. And we also need to move faster. So we did our Housing Forward program a couple of years ago that drastically changed zoning. But we were either unable to do some other things or we left some things out. So we have a fresh round of initiatives. And that is what the Housing Now program is all about. And we're going to be talking about this throughout the fall. It includes some zoning changes in the IDO process that's going to help facilitate things like transit-based development, but it's really being able to build higher in certain areas where there's more density. And it also has to do with streamlining our permitting. So our planning department is rolling out a whole new program to essentially pre-approve all sorts of electrical and plumbing permits, and won't get into the details, but there's about a dozen or so components to this that the whole city is really, from a government perspective, going to be talking about throughout the fall. And it's time, because we desperately need this housing and we need it fast. I also want to mention some things around continuing to work with casitas and upzoning, and we can talk about that all later if folks are interested, because today we want to talk about something that we did not include the first time around, and wonderfully, I was reminded of that by a lot of different folks in the community, and we think there is not only a big reason, but broad support to support rehabbing houses. So with our counselor as our sponsor, we are presenting the PATCH bill. It's an acronym. We'll talk about what it does. It's like patching your house. You can see an example here. But the idea is, look, our city has grown in spurts. And unfortunately, in those spurts, all our housing stock for wide swaths of the city are the same age. And so they're all having the same maintenance problems like at the same time. And a good example is even some of the properties right around here. And the cheapest and fastest way to create more housing is actually to rehab existing housing and make sure that it continues to be there for the next generation, or even is now for two people instead of one person and so forth. So rehab is an important component that we have not addressed until now. And that is a way to tee up our city councilor first to walk us through his thoughts on rehab and housing and how this bill will help Albuquerque.
Yeah,
Council?
Absolutely. Here, District 2 is the historic district of the city. All these neighborhoods, everybody loves their neighborhoods. And the best thing we can do to help people is, A, just keep them in their house. So those people are some of our most vulnerable population, or seniors, being able to provide them the means to repair their house, to keep them safe, and so they can stay there. That's got to be one of the most important things we can do, just to start with that. And then, of course, being able to take some of the housing stock that we already have that's empty, that needs repairs, to be livable. Step one, getting housing going.
So what this is going to really help us do is leverage all the different types of funding that we use for housing, and it's just including rehab in that formula, which I actually thought was always the case until I talked to Homeowners. And so why don't you explain a little bit, Joanna, about how this is really critical for the work that you do?
Absolutely. Yeah, we really agree that Albuquerque has a great housing stock, and the best thing we can do is ensure that we're helping people who own those homes to improve them, as well as bringing formerly vacant properties back to life for homeowners. Mm-hmm. So that's where we started on our journey in terms of ACC Rehab in Albuquerque, was bringing problem properties or vacant properties like this one back to life and then selling them to homeowners through our homeownership services and lending services. We then, with support from the council, have been able to expand into an owner-occupied home repair program, which has been critical. We've served a lot of seniors. We've helped a lot of folks, all of them under 80% area median income, with significant repairs that both improve the safety and quality and comfort of their home, as well as increase at times the efficiency of the home, which just helps bring their costs down, their bills down. So we think the patch program is a great opportunity to sustain that kind of owner-occupied rehab and to ensure that it's going to folks that really need those funds.
So if you think about like a stream, for lack of a better term, is like upstream and downstream housing issues, and depending on sort of your perspective, but if you go, to the ends of the spectrum, you want to keep people in their house, right? Because that actually prevents more a lack of housing as they become dilapidated. So this helps with that.
That's right.
And then people ask me all the time, oh, there's all these vacant houses everywhere. Why don't we just, partner and create new homes for folks who are unhoused? Well, weirdly, we were not able to do that funding-wise because funding isn't necessarily allowable to be used for that. And now that's what this will help change. And so that's the direction we want to go, and that pairs with our lien forgiveness that we're going to do on houses that have liens against them. We're going to forgive those as long as you do rehab. And so this fits together with even our Rent Act and trying to support renters. But tell us a little bit about this house that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was actually an old corner store, and yeah, that's why you can't see from behind the camera, but we're sitting in what used to be kind of like a front store area that people would come into. So we spent some time thinking about how to make this a really suitable residential space. There's always a little bit more design work that goes into converting commercial to residential, and have created a really beautiful 2-bedroom home, 1 bath with a garage out back. We also rehabbed the home adjacent to this. That was another acquisition rehab home we've done. Overall, we have helped bring more than 100 homes in Albuquerque from distress to beautiful homes like this for our clients to buy. So we think it's a great strategy for adding to housing supply. Of course, new housing production is also really important, but I'm super happy to see the city focusing on this part, particularly for low-income homeowners, because it's also a really great way to ensure that we're protecting those that need a little bit of extra help.
Great example. And so, Counselor, anything else that you want to share about either the area and how important this is, or about some of the families that you talked to?
I mean, obviously, this is one of the biggest topics that we deal with. Not only did we need housing yesterday, we needed it the day before yesterday, especially here in these areas where Airbnbs are taking over in a lot of cases. Being able to convert commercial to residential is fantastic. Putting together a bill and passing that, codifying it into the city, I think that's, it's not just about the mayor or myself. From here on out, the city will be able to do this. And so I think that's important to know.
Yeah. Well put. Okay, and so what we like to do now is kind of stop talking, in a sense that if you guys have questions, or if the team wants to throw any out that you want us to speak to, these two are here for that, or either of us. Or Connor, if you want to, yeah.
I have questions.
Way to step up.
From the journal, yeah. So I was wondering if you had any idea when this bill or ordinance or resolution would be on the agenda.
We introduced it our last cycle, so it'll be, I believe it's this Monday at FGO committee.
Okay.
So that'll be its first. And I believe we've got some amendments ready to go on that as well.
Awesome. And then I was also wondering, I haven't had a chance to read it, but what is the cap? Like, what are you guys considering low income for this?
Yeah. It's the 80% of
80%?
median income, capped up to I think 75,000, with some guardrails in there to allow for inflation or so forth, and, construction costs. So.
And then what kind of things qualify as rehabbing? Or is this like you're redoing your floor? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's not cosmetic.
Yeah.
Unless
that's
gonna. It's whatever's gonna make your house safe to live in.
Yes.
So you're not patching stucco unless you mess up the stucco to fix the water lines that absolutely have to be fixed.
So
Yeah, and a lot of roof is a big one
Yeah.
here. And that leads to more damage. So like stopping the roof leak is actually really important because it gets much more expensive later.
Yeah, and then a question for you specifically is, I know that a few years back you had set a goal of adding 5,000 units, and I was wondering if you knew what count we were at right now in for units added.
We've actually we're pretty close to that. So what I can do is maybe follow up with some details if you want. But we know at the city we've done, I think, 2,600.
2,600.
And I think we have the other 400 either like permitted or under construction. And so, we're doing good. We obviously aren't quite there, But if you add in the private sector that we incentivize through zoning, we think we've hit that goal. What we always remind folks though is that was like 20% of the problem. And so that's why we have to continue to push. And that's why all these Housing Now initiatives are so important.
And then also this house is gonna go on the market, right? Like someone doesn't own this right now.
No one owns it. We do development primarily to create housing opportunities for our clients. We are, HomeWise has for over 30 years provided financial education and lending tools to low and moderate income homeowners. So we will sell this to a client.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's everything for me.
Cool. Is there anyone else that has anything? So I guess maybe for me, is there like a story of a home rehab recipient that you can maybe think of that really struck you and stays with you to this day about why this is important?
Sure. So yeah, we've been running a program at this point for a few years with ARPA dollars, and we've helped about 50 families to date with those funds. And in many cases, those homes were, you know, in a kind of condition that made it so that the homeowners were sometimes, you know, wearing sweaters in the wintertime, were really cold, had plumbing issues, like pretty serious structural problems with the homes at times. So one example of a client, because we've done a lot of evaluation to learn like how has this changed your life, or how's this turned out for you. One has said that like they don't have to wear sweaters inside anymore. They just love living in their home now. They feel so much more comfortable. Another client had a serious plumbing issue that was unresolved, and told us like there's absolutely no way we would have stayed in this home without these funds. So I think that is really a testament to how important it is to ensure that we're not losing families and we're preventing displacement either to other places or even sometimes in a worst case scenario onto the streets.
Yeah.
So we're really proud of the work we've been able to do.
A lot of people always say like you're 4 months away from being homeless, whether it's 4 months of paying rent or paying your mortgage. But the path is a little like, then it's like you're living with friends or you're living in a hotel. But yeah, in 9 months, you are on the street. So these two are very much connected. Well, I know it's toasty in here too. Anything else there, Connor?
I think that's it. Is there anything?
I'd like to ask one after.
Oh,
Yes, I need to switch out of microphone, so we're going to do after.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys.
Take
Thanks.
care.
Yes, that's what I kept saying.
Do these work? These air conditioners? I gotta get one for my house.
Those are working.
Are they cool?
I'm sure you
No, it's just a fan.